Hey, bricks and mortar retailers, I have put on my black shirt, my black t-shirt. So that means it is video time. And this week, being a Thursday, we are doing a training. And of course, as the title says, this training is called the Profitability Playbook. So this is a really big theme that us as bricks and mortar retailers come across. We're making, what we think is good revenue, but then our profitability ultimately sucks. And we end up feeling frustrated because we're trying to figure out what is wrong. We're like I said, we're doing really good in revenue, but at the end of the day, we've got no money to pay ourselves, to pay the team. It gets really, really frustrating. So today, in today's training, I want to walk you through some of the steps that you need to take to ensure that you become more profitable as well as continuing to grow your revenue so that you can build an amazing, successful, profitable, highly cash flow rich bricks and mortar retail business. So as always, there is a worksheet associated with this. If you want a copy of the worksheet, just pop the word worksheet in the comment section below, and myself and one of the team will get it out to you. So without further ado, let's really rock and roll. And so here we go. This is the profitability playbook. Maybe I should do that. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. So the problem. So the Rubik's Cube that many of us retailers, and I certainly experienced this when I was running my pharmacies, is that, like I mentioned, we know that our revenues are doing well, but we don't have any money left over. And then we're thinking to ourselves, okay, we know we need to do something to increase our profitability, but like, how do we go about doing that? Very few of us have actually gone to business school or have engaged a business coach, so we're not really sure how to do that. And so, some of us actually don't know how to change or don't want to change. We don't have the right tools and strategies to increase profits, and we're, pretty afraid to take risks because, fair enough, we're technicians. Many of us, we're not really business people. And then once we start to make some changes to our profitability, like, how do we even know? How do you measure profitability? Basically, this all boils to being super frustrated, and we don't really know where to start. And you know don't worry, you're not alone. This is, like I said, a problem that a lot of retailers experience. Even the most successful and largest bricks and mortar retailers that we see in the marketplace did experience this at one stage. Nobody starts out perfect, right? So we all need to know, we need to figure it out, how this whole profitability piece fits in with our business, our demographic. And we just need to focus on fixing the problem. And so once we start to experience a lack of profitability, we realize very quickly that we can't reinvest in our business. Like I mentioned, we can't pay ourselves. Might struggle to pay our team. And really, the whole business of running our business, our retail store, becomes super frustrating and really annoying. And we just really can't get anywhere. And, we may just give everything up. So the cause of this, like I mentioned, is no one's really taught us, but the cause of low profitability is usually the fact that we, as bricks and mortar retailers, focus on revenue all the time. And I mean, what a great metric revenue is. Don't get me wrong. It's easy to get seduced by what the other big players are doing. And if we look outside our retail market, it's all about revenue. Big companies are trying to turn over as much money as they can. And this is really evident in the startup space, which is a big influence around us in the business community. And it's so easy to compare and contrast yourself with those. But what we're missing is the whole profitable piece. There is no use turning over a gajillion dollars if you're not making any money. And this is the bottom line piece that very few of us realize until it's too late. And like I mentioned, it's because no one teaches us these things. We're so busy running our bricks and mortar stores, as always, trying to put out fires, doing the rostering, doing the ordering, all those bits and pieces that we are doing in our businesses that consumes us from working on the business and getting us out of this situation that we're in. So what I want to run through today is what happens when we get this right. And when we get it right, we are going to be really peaking to the top of the mountain. Because if we get this right, we're going to be able to pay our bills on time. We are going to have enough money to reinvest in stock. We're going to have enough money to reinvest in our team. We are going to be able to have a profitable, growing business. And the most important thing is we are going to have enough money at the end of the day to pay ourselves, which is the whole friggin' reason why we're running this retail business, I hope. And, it's a really good, it's definitely the goal to have, right? We have this retail business. We hopefully got into it to fulfill our lifestyle goals so that it can provide for us in the way that we want it to. And by focusing on profitability, this is going to be one of the key steps to get you ahead. And that's what's so important. And I think ultimately one of the other major points that I often harp on about, which many retailers forget, is the fact that by focusing on your profitability, you actually increase the value of your business. And I know what you're saying, Alvin. I don't want to sell my business. I get it. But I would, and I've spoken about this at length, I would challenge you to start to run your business as if you're going to sell it, because you then start to optimize all aspects of your business. And you know what? If you get a valuation on your business, that'll just lead to more opportunities, such as your ability to borrow a little bit better, because now the value of your business has gone up. But ultimately, by aiming for the sale, even though you're probably not going to, it's for a little while yet, but by aiming to sell your business and setting it up that way, you're really forcing yourself to drive profitability into your bricks and mortar retail business. And that leads to a whole heap of positive things in your business. So let's go through the strategies that I would recommend that you implement into your business, into your bricks and mortar business, to start to turn that switch around from having really great revenue and then having corresponding profit behind it. Yeah, behind it. That's a good word. All right, so let's go. So here is what we need to do. This is the path that you need to take as a bricks and mortar retailer to improve your profitability. First thing is we need to raise our margins, okay? And one of the biggest mistakes that we make as retailers is that we don't really know how to raise our margins. Or if we do raise our margins, then we're making them too big. And so let me just give you the example of understanding our profit margins and why they are so important. So, let's say you're running a boutique. Let's go with boutique today. You're running a small brick and mortar boutique. You've been in business for a few years, and things have been going pretty well. Sales are decent. You've got loyal customer base, but when you take a closer look at your numbers, you realize that your profit margins are a lot lower than you thought, right? That's the whole piece what we're talking about. And, you're probably not too worried about it. After all, sales are decent. You're still making money. You figure that as long as you keep bringing in customers and selling, boutique sell clothes, you'll be fine, right? Sound familiar? This was the same thing that happened to me when I was running my pharmacy businesses in the beginning. But as time goes on, you notice some troubling signs. Your cash flow gets tight. You're struggling to pay your bills, like I've mentioned before. You can't invest in your inventory, which is so important in the bricks and mortar game. You can't invest in any marketing campaigns. And then, your store starts to look a little bit outdated compared to your competitors. And then you start to realize that by ignoring your profit margins, you basically put your bricks and mortar store in a precarious position, because you don't really understand your finances. You're not able to make informed decisions about your future, and you're not able to identify areas where you could be cutting costs or improving operations. And, this is just one example of how raising your margins and not understanding your profit margins is really, really important. So that's one thing that you need to do, is you really need to assess your product lineup and have a look at which margins you can raise, and make sure that you raise them intelligently. I've got a whole separate training on how to raise your margins. You can have a look for that in the Facebook group. So raising your margins is the first thing you need to do, because more than likely the major symptom that you've got when your revenues are too high and your profit margins are low, there's a discrepancy there. So immediately we need to have a look at that pull a report from your point of sale system, have a look at each category, then within each category, have a look at all the individual SKUs that make up that particular category and start to work through them that way. It sounds like a lot of analysis, but it's something that you will need to do in the beginning, and then you can then outsource that to somebody else in your team. So raising our margins is the first step that you need to make in your bricks and mortar retail business. The next thing you need to do is you need to start to manage your expenses. Sounds very, very simple. And you would think that a lot of us retailers do this. But unfortunately, when it comes to managing expenses, we end up doing it way late in the piece. Usually when we've run out of money or when our accountant or bookkeeper gives us our financial reports at the end of the year. When I talk about managing expenses, because expenses is one of the key drivers of profitability, because what you're doing is you're taking your turnover, your operating costs, and you're taking, and part of the operating costs are your running expenses of your business. And if you can improve your expenses there by decreasing them even by a few percentage points, that's going to have massive impact on your business. And if you continue to do that over time, wow. And if you then create a system, which is what I want you to do, to start to manage your expenses, then that just gets even better. And then it starts to run on autopilot. So expenses, obvious, but unless you have a system in place to regularly manage your expenses and check and cross-check them, you're just going to be spiraling into your profitability and eating away into your profits. So very important that you come up with a system to manage your expenses. Next thing, train your team. Your retail team are the key for driving profitability in your store. Because as I keep mentioning it, if you don't have a team that's engaged, if you don't have a team that does not know which products and services to sell in your store, if you don't have a team that understands what your high margin products are, if you don't have a team that knows how to sell, like where you actually train them how to engage with your customers, how to listen to your customers, how to sell to them, you are just leaving so much money on the table. This is the big point of difference we have as bricks and mortar retailers. We have the ability to train our team, and because we have a team, to sell more for us. And this is the big key when you're going to be stepping away from your business, which is eventually what we want to do once we set up all our systems in place and slowly step away. It is your team that are going to be driving your business forward. And just imagine if you have a team where they know what products and services to sell within your bricks and mortar retail store that will drive profitability, and you don't even need to be there. And it just comes down to doing the basics things. So just train your team. And I know what you're thinking. Yes, I know in some jurisdictions we have to pay our team to come back after hours, like many of us are trading during the days and maybe early evenings. And then, so yes, we're going to have these meetings after hours. This is where we want to make sure that we pay our team because we value them and we value their participation in the team meetings. We want to ensure that we have pizza there. That is just a non-negotiable. We want to make sure that we have drinks there as well. But basically what I'm trying to say is you want to make it really fun for your team members when they do come to your team meetings and when they do learn how to, where you're then starting to train them on how to sell. You want to make it fun. You don't want to make it a real pain in the bottom for them to come to these meetings. And you want an engaged team. And, whoever is not becoming engaged, you need to let them go. I've spoken about this at length. I've got plenty of trainings, down the bottom, in the Facebook group about team training. But that is one of the key aspects of driving profitability. Because just imagine you've already got the people coming through into your store. You've already got this revenue that's happening, but clearly they're selling low margin products and we're going to raise the margins on those. But then we've just now looked at managing our expenses. So we're actually making more money that way. And then now we have a team that's actually recommending all the right products to sell to our customers and clients in our store. And remember, I have touched on this, but I forgot to mention it just now, was this whole solution selling mindset that we should be in. Our customers are coming into our bricks and mortar stores with a particular problem. We have this amazing opportunity and this obligation, I believe, to provide them with the full solution to their problems. And that's usually more than one item or product, right? So just remember that. Plenty of trainings on that. Oh, by the way, like I mentioned, if you want to copy the worksheet, just pop the word worksheet in the comment section below and we will get it out to you. So train your team. Spoken about that. The next thing, we need to manage our money. So what's really important here is our ability as not only retailers, but ensuring that we are running our business within certain constraints. And these are positive constraints that we put on our business. And really what I want you to think about here is have a system to manage your money. So you've got your money in buckets so that you know exactly how much you can spend for purchases, say, you know exactly how much you can spend on your expenses, you know exactly how much money to put aside for the tax man at the end of the or tax woman at the end of the year, financial year, and you've got enough money that you put aside for reinvestments and most importantly, enough money to put aside for yourselves. So this is what happens is, as we know, this is like a form of budgeting. And once we create a budget and we have some guidelines to stick to, and it just makes us far more efficient in the way that we run our business. And the part of efficiency is greater profits. So even if you just stay the same at the moment and you bring in all that revenue, but then you then start to work on this piece where you start to manage your money, and you will notice that you become a lot more competent in your ordering because you're not wasting as much, because all of a sudden now you've got to figure out, okay, I have a budget for my expenses, for my purchasing in the store. How can I creatively purchase things within that budget? Really, really important. Of course, as always, if you want some help with this stuff, make sure you hit me up. That's what we do. We can help you sort that out. So that's what you need to do to drive profitability. So, in summary, for us to be snowboarding in the sky and doing really, really well in our business and driving profitability, just to summarize and land this spaceship home, we need to look beyond revenue. So, like I mentioned, revenue is a great metric. However, I think many of us as bricks and mortar retailers focus on the revenue component much too early in the piece without understanding and setting up profitability in our stores. So we need to set that up first, and then we can start to drive revenue so that when we do drive revenue, we are driving profits as well. Because as I mentioned and alluded to, if you're driving revenue and you're not making any money, then you're just totally not making any money and you're just going to be in the same shitty situation. So yeah, make sure we do that. Look beyond revenue and think profit. So we really need to think at the end of the day, how much money are we making? We really want to always be thinking profit as part of the overall landscape of running our brick and mortar business, because thinking profitability will not only obviously make you more money, but it will also, like I said, allow you to set up systems and procedures in your business so that you drive the value of your business up, and ultimately you can walk back, take a step back from the day-to-day running of your store. Very important. And finally, take action. So many of us bricks and mortar retailers, yes, we are caught up in the day-to-day. And if you just start to work one of those strategies in the next 7 days that I've just spoken about, you will notice a dramatic increase in your profitability. Hey, you might even start to understand what your gross margins are, what your profit is in your business. I mean, you probably see the line items put out by your bookkeeper or your accountant, but what does it actually mean into your store? Once you employ just one of these strategies, you're going to see what that means by your bank account, by your trading account in your bricks and mortar store. So take action now, please do it. Right, that's the end. Awesome. Groovy. 20 minutes. Love it. And so that's the end of this presentation. Like I said, if you want a copy of the worksheet, just pop the word worksheet. If you want some help with this stuff in your business, in your bricks and mortar retail business, send me a message. You know how to do that on Facebook, and tag me, hit me up, and we'll take it from there. So we do the trainings every second Thursday. So another 2 weeks. I'll see you then for another training. Until then, much love and